Coming up, it's Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols School. Taking on Cambridge, Rindge, and Latin School. That's next on High School Quiz Show. Hi, everybody, and welcome to High School Quiz Show. I'm Joe Hanson, your host. Today's match features past champions Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols taking on Cambridge, Rindge, and Latin, making their first quiz show appearance. As always, we start with the toss-up round. All answers are worth 10 points. There are no point deductions for wrong answers, and players, you may confer. All right, teams, if you're ready, good luck. Here we go. What large desert in Africa is roughly the same size as the United States? Yuyan.
The Sahara Desert?
That's correct. In The Republic, what Greek philosopher wrote about justice, government, and the ideal city? Andreas.
Plato.
Plato is correct. The 1955 play Inherit the Wind is a fictional account of what highly publicized case known as the Monkey Trial? Andreas.
The Scopes Trial?
The Scopes Trial is correct. In 2025, what former vice president received the JFK Profile in Courage Award for certifying the results of the 2020 election? Safi.
Mike Pence.
Mike Pence is correct. For our next question, take a look at your monitors. Pictured here is St. Basil's Cathedral, a famous Orthodox church in Moscow's Red Square. It was built in 1561 under what Russian Tsar known as the Terrible? Yuyan.
Ivan.
Ivan the Terrible is correct. How is the number 105 expressed in Roman numerals? Andreas.
CV.
CV is right. According to Guinness World Records, what is the best-selling book of all time with an estimated 5 billion copies sold globally? Yuyan.
The Bible.
The Bible is right. In what 1987 action movie does Arnold Schwarzenegger say, "Get to the chopper"? Dean.
The Terminator.
No. Rindge and Latin, you have an opportunity here.
Any idea? No, take a guess. I don't know anything.
We're looking for Predator. Our next question comes from a special guest. Take a look at your monitors.
Hi, I'm Ernie Bach Jr., and here's my question. I'm a huge fan of classic and exotic cars. My collection features a 1970 Maserati owned by what legendary American singer known for songs like My Way and Strangers in the Night?
Dean.
Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra is right. In 2025, the Boston Bruins hired what new coach, the first German head coach in NHL history? We're looking for Marco Sturm. Woodpeckers pecking at trees often reach what thin growing layer of tissue beneath the bark where new cells are produced? Phloem, heartwood, or cambium? Declan.
Cambium.
Cambium is right. In May 2025, the Kurdish militant group, the PKK, announced it was laying down its arms and disbanding after a 40-year insurgency against what country? Ezra.
Syria?
No. BB&N, chance here.
Turkey.
Dean.
Turkey.
Turkey is right. In his 1871 work, The Descent of Man, what English naturalist developed the law of battle? The idea that in some species, males fiercely compete with one another for available females. Andreas.
Charles Darwin.
Charles Darwin is right. The 2010 teen comedy Easy A is a modern take on what decidedly unfunny Nathaniel Hawthorne novel? Yuyan.
The Scarlet Letter.
The Scarlet Letter is right. All right, we are off to a great start. Let's take a moment to thank the folks who make this show possible. Major funding for High School Quiz Show is provided by Safety Insurance.
Welcome to another edition of New England Survivalists, the game we all get to play. You can ask an independent agent about safety insurance and learn more at the Resource Center at safetyinsurance.com.
Additional funding is provided by the Museum of Science, Massachusetts Teachers Association, Britebound, UMass Amherst, Subaru of New England, and Direct Federal Credit Union. Welcome back. The score is BB&N with 100 points and Rindge and Latin with 20. A lot of games still to play, so let's get back to it. In 2025, actress Jean Smart won her 7th career Emmy for her role as a fictional stand-up comedian, Deborah Vance, in what dark comedy drama? Ezra.
Hacks.
Hacks is right. What small tube connects the back of your throat to your middle ear? Yuyan.
The cochlea?
No. Rindge and Latin, you have a chance here. Declan?
The larynx?
No, we are looking for the eustachian tube. After the UK, what is the next largest European kingdom by population? Spain, Sweden, or the Netherlands? Yuyan.
Spain.
Spain is right. In 1954, who became the first, and so far only, female playwright to have 3 plays running simultaneously in London's West End, with The Mousetrap, Witness for the Prosecution, and Spider's Web? Ezra.
Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie is right. In 2024, what became the first country to implement a nationwide ban on social media for children under 16, putting tech companies on notice to tighten security? Declan.
Australia.
Australia is right. Set in feudal Japan around the year 1600, what historical drama series won 18 Emmy Awards in 2024, the most ever for a show in a single year? Dean.
Shogun.
Shogun is right. The theory of spontaneous generation, the idea that life could spontaneously arise from non-living matter, was disproved by what French chemist with his famous swan neck flask experiment? Yuyan.
Pasteur.
Louis Pasteur is right. Known for his iconic performances as Iceman in Top Gun, the Caped Crusader in Batman Forever, and Jim Morrison in The Doors, what actor passed away in 2025 at age 65? Ezra.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer is right. The Scoville scale measures which of the following? Spicy heat, air quality, or pH value? Yuyan.
Spicy heat.
Spicy heat is right. On May 10th, 1940, during World War II, German forces began invading the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, and France. What British Prime Minister resigned the same day? Safi.
Neville Chamberlain.
Chamberlain is right. Author of the novels The Vegetarian and Human Acts, Han Kang is the first writer from what country to win the Nobel Prize in Literature? Ezra.
South Korea.
South Korea is right. Burnt orange and white are the official colors of the University of Texas at Austin. Named after a type of cattle, what mascot is used for the school's football program and other sports? Andreas.
Longhorn.
The Texas Longhorns is correct. Following Gen Z-led protests in September 2025 that resulted in her predecessor's resignation, what Himalayan country appointed its first female prime minister, Sushila Karki? Safi.
Nepal.
Nepal is right. What Maurice Sendak picture book about a rebellious boy named Max initially received negative reviews and was banned by some librarians for encouraging bad behavior? Yuyan.
Where the Wild Things Are.
Where the Wild Things Are is right. The Baha'i faith teaches the essential worth of all religions and the unity of humanity. It was founded in the 19th century in what present-day country in the Middle East? Andreas.
Iraq.
No, Rindge and Latin, you have a chance. Ezra.
Iran.
Iran is right. And that's the end of the round. And the score is Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols with 160 points. Cambridge, Rindge, and Latin has 100 points. This is a good one. Let's hear it for both teams. Last week, Belmont beat Brookline to move on to the quarterfinals. In today's qualifying match, BB&N and Rindge and Latin are both looking to advance. Now, the head-to-head round is next, but first we're going to take a minute to get to know the players. Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols, we'll start with you. Andreas, you're a third-degree black belt in karate, is that right?
No, it's Taekwondo, actually.
Taekwondo. Who's writing these things? So sorry. Do you think that martial arts helps you in the quiz show environment at all?
I don't know, just like, I've been taught like confidence and like perseverance, so I think that's helped me a lot, yeah.
I like that. Yuyan, you've been growing a bamboo plant for a while, I hear.
That's correct.
How long?
Since 4th grade, actually.
Is it one of those bamboo plants that grows like a foot a day? Are we talking about something that's reaching through the ceiling?
Yeah, so if it was reaching through my ceiling, I think I'd have a really tough time sleeping every night. But it grew up, it's one of those bamboo plants that you can buy in like a big department store. And it was in 4th grade around that time when I actually just picked one up and decided to start growing it. And miraculously, it hasn't died yet.
That is pretty miraculous. Dean, you're a big fan of Netflix comedy shows?
I am, yeah.
How many are there?
Too many to count, but I guess I had a lot of free time in the pandemic.
You got the inspiring any like future stand-up comedy plans? Do any improv nights?
I think I'll probably stick to trivia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alec, you have a unique condition with your eyes.
I have heterochromia. I have 2 different colored eyes. I think it's just something with the genes, like when the genes for my eye color were forming, they just formed both one blue and one green rather than both being one.
Hey, it adds a little variety to life. I
Yeah,
like that. You're
yeah.
lucky. Also on the BB&N team, we have mascot Bucky, alternates Palin and Seth, and coaches Chip Rollinson and Sam Criffield. Now let's meet the Cambridge Rindge and Latin team. Maud, I hear you're part owner of a very unique animal.
Yes, hedgehog.
Okay, what's the hedgehog's name?
Cruella. I didn't pick it.
Okay.
She has anxiety and she lives in a bag.
Okay. Well, we wish the best to Cruella. I mean, being a hedgehog's tough. Declan, you got an interesting collection of contacts in your phone.
Yeah.
Any that you want to shout out for the audience?
Warren Buffett. One of my friends happened to have it and just kind of gave it to me one day because why not?
Have you called it?
Yeah. And it is his number.
Did he pick up?
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll leave the story there just in case. Safi, you are learning languages. How many languages are we on now?
As of right now, 5.
All right, where do you rank your mastery of these languages?
I don't know. It sort of started as a side hobby, so I would say not that good.
Maybe we start with like ordering food at a restaurant.
Definitely,
or saying,
definitely.
you know, where's the library?
Exactly. It's a good thing to know, though. So.
Ezra, you do a unique kind of math.
Yeah, so when I was probably 4 or 5, I, like most kids, went through a president's phase where I memorized the presidents and then their term numbers. And then as a party trick, my parents would bring me out and they'd ask me to do like presidential math where you do, I don't know, what's George W. Bush minus George Washington? And then you'd subtract their term number from the other
That's
term
an easy
number.
one, no. George Washington's 1.
After I moved on to Saturday Night Live random trivia, the president stuff kind of left, but you know.
Okay. Filling out the Rindge and Latin team are alternate Akash and coach Julian Salazar. Let's hear it for both teams. Okay, the head-to-head round is up next. In this round, correct answers add 10 points to the team total, and wrong answers result in a 10-point deduction. The clock is set at 90 seconds. Well, a little handshake to start. Good luck, teams. Here we go. The ancient cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum were destroyed.
Vesuvius.
Yes. Lightning McQueen and Sally Carrera are characters in which?
Cars.
Yes. Which planet in the solar system is named after the Roman god of agriculture? Saturn. First published in 1881 as a serialized story, what Italian fairy tale is subtitled The Story of a Puppet?
Pinocchio?
Yes. Which ocean is also known as the Antarctic Ocean?
Southern Ocean.
Yes. Pink Pony Club and Hot to Go are
Chapel Roan.
yes. In 2013, who was sworn in as the first female U.S. Senator to represent Massachusetts?
Warren.
Yes. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder triggered by what protein
Gluten?
Yes. In Romeo and Juliet, the Montagues are locked in an ancient?
Capulets.
Yes. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was controlled by what German dynasty founded in the 11th century?
The Habsburgs.
Yes. Which chemical element has the symbol Ra?
Radon.
No, we're looking for radium. What classic American novel had a working title of Trimalchio in West Egg?
Great Gatsby?
Yes. Pokemon Go was a popular video game using what technology?
VR.
AR is the answer we're looking for. Trench warfare reached its highest development on the Western Front.
World War I.
Yes. What Asian capital is home to an imperial palace called the Forbidden City?
Beijing.
Yes. Some batteries and thermometers contain... Ooh, we were looking for mercury there. That's the end of the round. Let's take a look at the score. BB&N with 250 points has the lead. Rindge and Latin with 110 points. Let's give it up for both teams. All right, teams, it's time for the category round. Today's categories are Honey, I'm Rome, the Nutmeg State, You Talking to Me, Follow the Money, Cooking with Gas, and the Jet Set. All categories have 5 questions with increasing point value. Teams will choose 2 categories each and have the option to toss 1 question per category to the other team that the other team must answer. Players, you are able to confer. All right, BB&N, who's your spokesperson? All right, Andreas, and Rindge and Latin, who's your spokesperson? All right, Maud. Rindge and Latin, you've got a little bit of ground to make up on the score, so you get to pick the first category.
We'll take Honey, I'm Rome.
Honey, I'm Rome. These are questions about ancient Rome. For 10 points. What Roman general crossed the Rubicon River into Italy, an act of war that led to the end of the Roman Republic and the rise of Imperial Rome?
Coriolanus.
No, we're looking for Julius Caesar. For 15 points. In the early 4th century, what Roman emperor made the first attempt to ban gladiator games, which he saw as a barbaric practice that clashed with his Christian values?
It's Justinian. Justinian. Yeah.
Justinian.
No, Constantine. For 20 points, in Honey, I'm Rome, known as the Queen of the Long Roads, what strategically important route connecting Rome to Brindisi in southern Italy was the first major Roman road?
The Appian Way.
The Appian Way is right. For 25 points, many of the traditions that we now associate with Christmas, such as decorating homes with wreaths and other greenery, originate from what Roman pagan festival held in mid-December?
Saturnalia.
Saturnalia is right. And for 30 points, I am fighting as an ordinary person for my lost freedom, my bruised body, and my outraged daughters. This quote is attributed to what ancient British queen who led a revolt against Roman rule?
Boudica.
Boudica is right. BB&N, your first category.
We're gonna take Follow the Money.
Follow the money. These are questions about financial crime. For 10 points. If you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. This idiom is associated with con artist George C. Parker, who in the early 20th century repeatedly sold what New York bridge to unsuspecting victims?
The Brooklyn Bridge.
Brooklyn Bridge is right. For 15 points, named after an Italian con artist, what type of scheme lures investors and pays profits to earlier investors with funds from more recent investors?
Ponzi scheme.
Ponzi scheme is right. For 20 points, American taxpayers paid about $2 billion in fraudulent disaster relief claims from what Category 5 hurricane that ravaged Louisiana in 2005?
Hurricane Katrina.
Katrina is right. For 25 points in Follow the Money, once celebrated as the poster boy for crypto, in 2024, what founder of the FTX cryptocurrency exchange was sentenced to 25 years in prison for stealing billions of dollars from customers?
Bankman-Fried.
Sam Bankman-Fried is right. And for 30 points, known for her expertise in cooking, entertaining, and decorating, in 2004, what television personality was sentenced to 5 months in prison on felony charges related to the Imclone stock trading case?
Stewart.
Martha Stewart is right. Rindge and Latin, your next category.
You talking to me.
You talking to me? These are questions about famous film quotes. For 10 points, you're gonna need a bigger boat. Roy Scheider says this in what 1975 film widely credited as the first summer blockbuster?
Jaws.
Jaws is right. For 15 points, Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off. Pat Morita says this to Ralph Macchio in what 1984 film?
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid is right. For 20 points, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Matthew Broderick says this in what iconic slacker film from 1986?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris Bueller is right. For 25 points in You Talkin' to Me, in what 1996 film does Renee Zellweger tell Tom Cruise, "You had me at hello"?
Sounds like a Mission Impossible, but it probably wouldn't be.
We'll pass.
The movie is Jerry Maguire. And for 30 points, what classic 1942 film ends with Humphrey Bogart telling Claude Rains, "Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship"?
Casablanca.
That is correct. BB&N, final category.
We're going to take cooking with gas.
Cooking with gas. These are questions about gases on the periodic table. For 10 points, which chemical element makes up 78% of the air we breathe?
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen is right. For 15 points, Venus has a very dense atmosphere made up almost entirely of what greenhouse gas?
CO2.
Carbon dioxide. CO2 is right. For 20 points, in cooking with gas, electronegativity refers to the ability of an atom to attract shared electrons in a covalent bond. What is the most electronegative chemical element on the periodic table?
Fluorine.
Fluorine is right. For 25 points, atomic number 17 refers to what element often added to drinking water supplies to prevent waterborne diseases such as cholera and typhoid fever?
Chlorine.
Chlorine is right. And for 30 points, from the Greek meaning stranger, what noble gas is a brighter and more energy-efficient alternative to halogen headlights in cars?
Xenon.
Xenon is correct. And that is the end of the category round. The score is Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols in the lead with 450, Cambridge, Rindge, and Latin with 235. Let's hear it for both teams. Okay, we are heading into the final round of play, the lightning round. Correct answers add 20 points to the team total, and there is a 20-point deduction for incorrect answers. Okay, the clock is set. Here we go. What Broadway musical features the song The Room Where It Happened? Safi.
Hamilton.
Yes. How many inches are in a yard? Yuyun.
3.
36. The Taj Mahal is a famous mausoleum located in which Indian city? Dean.
Agra.
Agra is right. In 2025, Beyonce finally won her first Grammy for Album of the Year for which album? Maud.
Cowboy Carter.
Yes. Which U.S. city was once known as New Amsterdam? Andreas.
New York City.
Yes. Which British duke was celebrated for his victory over Napoleon? Alec.
Wellington.
Yes. Which country has the most tornadoes with more than 1,000 reported? Dean.
United States.
Yes. What three-letter term is the standard international unit of electrical resistance? Andreas.
Ohm.
Yes. What anthology series created by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk is known as AHS? Ezra.
American Horror Story.
Yes. The Louvre Pyramid in Paris was designed by what famous? Andreas.
Hey.
Yes. From 2001 to 2009, who served as the junior U.S. Senator from New York? Yuyan.
Clinton.
Yes. In Greek myth, Zeus's thunderbolts were forged by what? Alec.
Cyclopses.
Yes. The word sauna originated in what Nordic country? Andreas.
Finland.
Finland is right. In the NBA, the shot clock is set at how many seconds? Declan.
24.
24 is right. What mountain in Canada's Yukon Territory is the second highest peak in North America after Denali? Mount Logan. Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night is a notable work. Oh, we were looking for Dylan Thomas on that last one. And the winning team this week is Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols School with a final score of 610 points. Cambridge, Rindge, and Latin finishes with 315 points. Congratulations to both teams for a great game. Buckingham, Browne, and Nichols now moves on to the quarterfinals. Join us next week for the match between Sharon and Wellesley. It's going to be a good one. So we'll see you right here on High School Quiz Show.